Good evening, Namaste. I welcome you all. My name is Surya Prakash Soni. I'm current trustee of Federation of Indian Associations of Victoria. This is a VICHAR webinar series, and we are fortunate to have our speaker today, Babanji. Welcome, Babanji. And this is VICHAR webinar number 24. We are targeting to do it weekly, and we need more speakers from the community. So please keep recommending. Those who are watching this video on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Don't leave video without liking and subscribing to the channel. That really helps spread the word. I don't need my own subscription or anything. I don't care, but more around once you like and subscribe, it will spread the word to more wider audience. The purpose of initiative, which our webinar, is to bring community together. We learn from each other. That's what we're discussing offline before formal start, that we need to share the knowledge. By sharing the knowledge, we just need that little push or little knowledge, extra knowledge, where we can bring the change in ourselves and bring the change in the society. With that note, I'll very briefly introduce Babanji. Baban Kadam, he's a property portfolio strategist. You help first home buyers, investors, and SMSF clients secure high-performing properties tailored to their goals. With end-to-end support from strategy to settlement, Baban has helped clients across Australia make smarter, future-ready real estate decisions. Whether it's house and land, custom builds, and co-living models, he will help you across all the space. Today, we would like to hear from him, like what's going on in the property market, what is this fear of missing out, and everything around whether this boom is coming in Victoria or not, and everything, what are the policies of the state, or why it's really bit of a fear of missing out in the community. So with that note, welcome Babanji once again, and over to you.
Thank you, Surya, and good evening, everyone, and thank you for making the time to be here today. Really appreciate that. So let me just quickly share my screen and we'll get started. So just want to double check everyone. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can. And I'll also request everyone that Babanji requested me to make this session very interactive. So if you have any question, either raise your hand or type your question in the chat, or just ask the question straight away, because we want to have a very interactive session today.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Surya, for calling that out very explicitly. But very important, before we get started, it is I would like to, mention that I would like to clarify that this session is definitely intended solely for education and information purposes. So definitely you are not going to get any financial advice, nor is going to constitute any form of legal or taxation guidance, right? So this session is purely to help you understand what's happening in the property market and to share those experience insights based on the real interactions and the case studies and some of the responses that we received from our clients. So just wanna call that out. So and as Surya did mention, I feel myself pretty much very well integrated part of this community. So I'm not here as a developer. I'm not here as an agent or any salesperson. I'm just someone who is genuinely passionate about real estate. Not just in the numbers or the contracts, but definitely with right set of people, their goals, their dreams, and the intentions behind, the feelings behind every decision. So from the community supporting point of view, why I'm so thrilled and so passionate about, because I myself from Mumbai and have been in Australia since last 2016, and since I started realizing the real challenges in lifestyle, I really understood the fundamental concept of supporting and guiding each other. And that's where in Australia, since 2016, I'm supporting various communities and not only to achieve their goals or their dreams, but it's basically also objective to support, share, and care. And that's where we are here. Okay. next one is basically the current Australian property landscape. Now, this is um, in a world of in a world of headlines, which we have been referring to. It's pretty much an uncertainty. It's definitely rising interest rates. It's basically the housing, uh, the media hypes, housing affordability. There are a lot of pressures. Everyone is just creating noise, and many are left just wondering whether even it's right time to buy or even right time to invest in the property. But the truth is, as Mr. Srinivasan said in the beginning, is the truth is basically uncertainty is not our enemy. In fact, it's a it's a very well filter that separates our emotional decisions from strategic and high growth moves point of view. So over the next 10 hours or so, we're not just going to talk about the property. Definitely not. We're just going to slice and dice in terms of understanding what it takes to be, to build a very clear, confident, and I would say actionable property journey, and especially in turbulence times like this in Victoria or even any other states, right? So whether you're a first-time buyer or definitely the seasonal investors and seeking some sort of optimizing your portfolio, today's definitely sessions to give you some insight. So in this session, I'm just going to give you some sort of the fresh pair of eyes and lens, glancing over the Australian market, practical tools to really spot and avoid those fear of missing out traps, and then maybe a well-bedded working framework which would really help you to build your long-term and sustainable wealth. So if you're ready, so grab a notepad, keep your questions ready. We are going to keep a track on the chat and the messages, and most importantly, be absolutely open to rethink what your next move could be in this property journey. So let's put our best foot forward and see this market in totality. So some of the numbers are pretty much on your screen in from the national point of view. Is basically like uh, uh, the year-on-year median house prices, the yield growth, and then the median price across Australia. And that is what something is more important for us to understand, right? Um, Next one is pretty much about understanding the market uncertainty. Now, this is where the most of the what we call say um, uh, uncertainties is nowadays the headlines are as mentioned like noise, interest rates, shortage supplies, and everything, right? But underneath this noise, there are some real opportunities lies for us. Okay, so challenge is not is basically dealing with these headlines or these issues, but it's knowing how to spot them and knowing basically whom to trust, right? So, and this is where our expertise, our knowledge comes into the picture. So today's conversation is all about these understanding these factors. So, for example, like economic volatility, hidden opportunities, supply demand imbalances. These are all factors which are pretty much going to give you some sort of some fear factors on this one, and this is where is the structure and the plan comes into the picture is basically when to act, right? There is an opportunity for us. What is the clarity? What is the confidence level? Where to buy, right? And most importantly is basically who to trust. Okay. So in today's market, everyone is so well worth about, yeah, I can buy this property or I can buy that property. But then, do you have that right structure in place? Do you have a right plan? And do you really have the right set of people who are actually guiding and supporting you in these journeys? That is very important. And that's where it's going to help you to really uncover those challenges. So, and that would take us to the next point, which is FOMO. It's a fear of missing out. And I would call it as it's an emotional decision trap. So what I would say is um, my friend has bought the property. My friend has bought the property. My neighbor is buying property. To be honest, we all are experiencing this feeling, right? Media shows success stories, or families are investing in this in these warehouses or the houses or the properties, and they are seeing the growth, getting left behind? Oh, am I missing the bus? And this particular emotional investing is definitely going to lead to overspending. Why? Because someone is just pushing you. So probably you might push yourself to buy something which is available, and you might end up in a situation of overspending, since it was not really backed up with a proper cash flow, and that's where you probably end up with poor cash flow returns, right? And then since you did not have any sort of any guidance, so what about the growth? It's absolutely going to be limited growth due to lack of strategy. So fear of missing in property is going to have, is going to be inevitable. But then this is where I help many is basically many to pause, refocus, and move with purpose. And this is where the right team really comes into the picture, who would really understand your borrowing framework, whether your contracts, your options are pretty much compliance, and the legal due diligence, and have you really taken into consideration the tax implications? For example, one of the couple was days away from signing, basically pretty much an overpriced townhouse. But after a quick call with us and as a part of the strategy session, so we redirected them to a land and house package, and which was definitely with a custom build and in one of the growth suburbs. So the custom design with a rental guarantee definitely did really help them to save more than $60,000, and definitely increasing the yield by 2.5% from the average yield, right? So so it does. So FOMO does drive, to make those rush decisions and some sort of emotional purchases, but then we don't have to really find ourselves being trapped in those situations. So the next question could be in your mind is basically, okay, Baban, yes, it was a part of FOMO. Now, are there mechanisms, are there strategies, are there factors which would definitely help me to really avoid those investment mistakes? And yes, and definitely my answer is yes, you have those properties, you have those strategies, and you have those attributes. What it could be, right? So, how do you see yourself from um, um, away pretty much from this FOMO? Is basically set clear investment criteria. Have someone who has knowledge, expertise, information about it. So define your budget. Have conversations with those people, basically who would help you to really identify target areas. Every area is not a lucrative area. There are certain suburbs, there are certain states, there are certain areas, there are certain property configurations which would really give you that capital growth, which is really aligned to your focus, aligned to your dreams, and aligned to your objectives. So what could be the property types? What is an expected return? So first of all, basically, if you really want to stay away from FOMO, it's very important is set clear investment criteria and have someone really to brainstorm on those with you. Okay. The next one is on your right side is seek independent advice, right? Yes, we are matured, we are professionals, we are educated, but then it is extremely important for us to really have someone who has been supporting, guiding, who has burnt his fingers, who knows what are the black boxes, and those unbiased professionals are going to be your best friend, including property strategists like us, financial advisors who would give you some sort of guidance on where and how you should be putting your money. The third attribute, which would be your back pocket option, is basically focus on fundamentals, right? Base decisions, make your base decisions on the location quality. As I mentioned, every single geography is not worth really putting your heart and money into it. So the employment growth, infrastructure, that's exactly I was talking to Surya a few minutes ago. And these quality related locations, infrastructure enabled areas, employment growth driven areas, geographic areas from the government, and the demographic trends. We got to separate customer segmentations. Couples, couple with kid, couple with two kids. Unmarried couples, or everyone. So there is a different demand for these every demographic customer segmented part of it, and that's where it is very important for us to really keep that particular attribute in your mind when you're about to invest. And the last and the more important part is absolutely do not rush. That is a key from my point of view, right? Give yourself some time. Doesn't matter if someone is just pushing you, oh, this is the last option, go for it, this and that. No, give yourself some time, so wait that 24, 48 hours, just sit on it, right? Let it dissolve in your brain, in your mind, in everything that you're probably thinking. So these are some of the attributes will definitely help you to really stay away or steer away from FOMO. So to counter FOMO, in to summarize, is basically I really encourage you, a model that is pretty much built on three core filters from my point of view. First of all, purpose. Why are you buying? I just want to buy because my friend bought it. Doesn't make any sense. Position. Are you really financially prepared for that? Your numbers probably might healthy, but then you are not, or you may have some different demographic family configurations. You may be expecting a baby or something, which would definitely change the whole calculation. And the third point is basically, is asset that you're trying to buy or you're aiming on or your keen is basically, is it really going to serve you for next 5, 10, at least 15 years from now? Does it really have that potential of capital growth as well as a rental? So, and as Surya mentioned about myself as IT professional agile coach, in agile, what we say is basically, we just don't adopt tactics or frameworks. We seek really true transformation. And in simpler terms, do not chase. Do not chase the next hot suburb just because your friend, your neighbor, or your colleague has bought it. Build a strategy that works for your life goals, right? And that is where it is very important for us to be really, really careful about. If we had a very clear understanding about how to avoid FOMO, what are the approach that would help you really stay away from those? Now it is basically, hey, Pavan, do you really have some sort of foundational pillars or foundational blocks which would really help us to really see where do we really stand? And that's what we call strategic approach. And what we mean in that space is basically, let me just, yeah. Um, a strategic approach is is going to be quite it is that approach is going to give you from an investment point of view is basically a consistency in terms of either your capital growth or your rental income, right? So imagine if your investment plan has these following attributes included. Number one, a custom home which is really built around rental yield. If the answer is no, just cross that. Second, a land purchase, which will definitely give you some sort of benefit from the infrastructure good. Do you really have those insights from government, that yeah, land is basically belonging to those one of the growth opportunities and infrastructure? If not, just stay away from that. Third, which is really and recently has become very popular, is a co-living model, which is not going to give you the single or 1.5 or twice. It's going to give you the triple the rental return from your existing one. And the fourth is basically has again become very popular, is about a commercial warehouse. Okay, so if you really have these four attributes included in your investment plan, there are more chances of you really being on right track. And then how do you really have yourself navigated in those uncharted territory is basically holding someone who knows where you're heading. And that's where working with the right team is going to be very, very crucial from building your portfolio point of view. So if you probably might say, okay, Baban, custom home, land purchase, co-living model, commercial warehouse, they seem very fancy terms, but these are not hypotheticals. These are real client journeys that I have helped shape, right? So not just as a strategist, but someone who really understands how the lending works. What are the building permit works? What's the land configuration? What are the floor plans perfectly aligned with your goals? What's your lifestyle, construction stage timings, depreciation benefit, tax savings, and absolutely many more attributes. And you could get these guidance only when you are being directed, when you are being guided by the person who is basically know that what he's really heading for. And so that's that's my as I always keep saying, your success doesn't start when you sign the contract and investment journey. It's basically, it starts now with your intentions, and hence we generally guide our clients through the process in terms of where to buy, how to buy, where is basically what are the capital growth and rental metrics, how is basically loan structuring. It could be your personal savings, it could be a SMSF, it could be anything, it could be a commercial, it could be ABN, and when to buy, avoiding avoiding peak price cycle. So when to buy is very important. All right. So sorry, is there any questions? Anybody asking? I I heard a couple of.
Rajendra ji, anything you want to say? You unmuted yourself.
All right, no worries. That's
Maybe
fine.
accidental, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
But are
completely fine.
you are on core investment principles screen, right?
Um, core investment principle. That's correct. Yeah.
Yep, all good. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So just to summarize on this one, so location intelligence, capital growth, and all those things that we talk about. But then I really want to underline a few things. Is you know, whenever it is possible for you, really go ahead with custom builder recommendations. I'll tell you why. Nowadays, okay, so as a property strategist, we also help client in terms of connecting them with the property managers. And before we let our potential tenants into the property investment that we have built, is basically we do really sort of a survey. And based on the survey, we got some feedback from them. And then that's where everyone nowadays is basically willing to move into that particular house, which is quite elegant, which is quite fresh, which is absolutely built with all these safety features and everything. So custom build recommendations, I would definitely would really have you as a back pocket options. Okay. Next one is basically, have someone who knows about how this construction journey works, so it could be pre-build, it could be during floor plan designs, it could be during construction, it'll be post-constructions and everyone, so you have to have one person pretty much giving a complete glance over the complete journey. And that's very important for us to really understand. So I'll just give you one example, so one of our first home buyers, I think he had land kept on the all for 6 months, and then he was really unsure what to do, right? So what did we do is basically we recommended them to definitely a custom builder. I really helped them in terms of designing the floor plan and negotiating the price and everything. And then we eventually land up with a situation where we built a house which was tenant ready design. So the complete full construction and a handover was done in 6 months, So and now that particular gentleman is really enjoying the benefit of rental income, which is more than 650 per week in rent, So so the perspective from the tenant is really shifting from basic and generic content to elegant houses. And this is where probably you need those custom built options. Um, Another thing is you might see, because I was approached by many individuals saying that, hey, Baban, is there anything, which will sorry, let me, yeah. Yeah. Um, Actually, I was approached by many people in the past, like, hey, Baban, we immediately need to buy an investment property. And, they really asked me, so is there any fast track strategy as such, where I could quickly build my portfolio? And my response was with a big smile on my face is, okay, my friend, your portfolio and your fast track approach, they don't go hand in hand. Short-term gains may absolutely look good really on paper, but the wealth, the the capital growth, the fundamental investment assets in property is built over the long haul, and and it's confirmed that you the moment you have the right people working with you, guiding you, setting up those guardrails in your property journey, right? Your success is pretty much inevitable. All right. And that's where, when it comes to long-term strategy versus the short-term gains, I really provide my complete consulting on the basis of, okay, what are your requirements? What are your objectives? Why do you want to buy properties? What's your family demographic? What's your family look like down the line 5 years? How much you earn, how much you spend? What are your historical trends and everything? And so taking all this aspect into consideration, probably I might, suggest the more appropriate options for them. For example, it could be co-ownership, it could be SMSF investment, it could be rent vesting. That's another interesting factor of it. You won't believe, as I mentioned, I came in Australia in 2016. And since then, I had a couple of my friends who actually, even after 8 years, they are still renting, but they bought 5 to 6 properties at this point in time. So they are completely enjoying the benefit of rent vesting in high yield suburbs. And that's where this particular concept is very, again, interesting. So would a commercial option be viable for you and appropriate for your given circumstances? And that is something, I, as a strategist, really see the whole picture from a distance, and bird's view kind of give you some sort of guidance, or this isn't appropriate for you. For example, one of my Adelaide-based clients, he had a combined. I mean, he had passion about buying a property. So what we did basically, we combined his SMSF with the rental guarantee and co-living option under one roof. You won't believe their rental income, which they are getting from the properties is actually funding their mortgage, right? And so the asset is not only growing, but their super is also growing, right? And now we are already in the process of buying the next one, just within 7 months, to be honest with you. So this is the power of really brainstorming your situation, your circumstances, your numbers, your ambitions, your visions, and everything with people who could really understand what investment property journey looks like. And this is where a property portfolio strategy is going to be, is going to be very helpful in redefining, recrafting, revisiting your strategies. Um, Now, with this note, probably what I might give you, okay, okay. So, but when you spoke about the frameworks, you spoke about market. It is going. It is pretty much volatile. Government is coming up with a lot of grants and options to boost, to support every individual, either he or she is a first-time buyer or seasonal investors, right? So in Victoria, government is really, really trying hard in order to really compete with other states, right? And hence, I see a lot of lucrative opportunities here in Victoria. Okay, and these are some of the case studies which I really wanted to share with you. Um, and we are very pleased to do that. So a couple from Victoria, they approached us with the land sitting vacant. It was absolutely vacant for 7 months. First of all, my question was why your land is vacant? You're just unnecessarily wasting it. So we quickly worked on that. We, had a conversation with custom builders. We did really build some sort of an elegant house and package it in such a way that, that co-living, the custom build rental guarantee option was giving them more than 900 per week. And within 24 months, they just really built their more than 120K as a capital equity on that, So if you really have a proper guidance, if you do really identify the right property at the right location at the right time, yes, these are the numbers are going to be quite healthy in your case as well. Another from WA, okay. Um, in fact, we did really employ all our strategies, experience, and expertise that we gathered over the last few years in order to literally negotiate with the builder that how much dollar we can save. And that's why the number was more than 45 grand upfront, because the way we negotiated the complete landscape with the builder. And now my customers are pretty much happy, and they're having a positive cash flow, because even a single dollar is going to make a lot of difference. And so another IT professional, is basically, he literally wanted his passive income. He just came to me and he said, "Hey, Baban, I've been in this country more than 15 years. So I just want to know, I just want to know how much I can borrow, how many properties I can buy and everything." So we really structured his SMS. and then provided some sort of guidance on flexi living options. And now he's enjoying the benefit of not only the rental tax benefit, but also the depreciation. All right. This is where it's actually underlining another very important attribute is about, buying existing properties versus new properties. Okay. And my conclusion is purely based on the survey that we did really receive. As a owner, existing properties to existing properties have already depreciated, so you wouldn't really get a benefit of depreciation, right? So the property is also old, and the tenant really needs some sort of that fresh smell. So if possible, given the circumstances, you would definitely wish to prefer new build, and then go with that. So lesser the amount, maximizing the input, consistently ensuring your capital growth and the rental income. So that is something more important. Again, I really want to call that out. Um, I'll pause it here for a moment and just want to ask any questions if anybody has.
What was that flexi living thing you suggested just now?
Okay, so in a uh, in an in okay, so in a property configuration, there are multiple attributes. For example, it's a one complete detached house where the entire house can be rented out. Another option is basically co-living. Co-living is basically, if you have a configuration of 3 bedroom, 3 bathroom, that means every bedroom would have ensuite, so which would offer them a complete security and the privacy. So you can actually rent out every single bedroom. And that's what the co-living is. And the flexi living is again a similar term which is being used by different builders. For example, you know um, you can give a complete house on the on rent, or also the individual houses, or even on a similar land you probably have, two different house configurations. For example, one side house which is 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 1 kitchen, and another one is basically 1 bedroom or 2 bedrooms, or a single living and single kitchen, and with a common double garage parking. So there are different configurations depending on the land size, and we have done it in the past. Okay, so imagine on the single land size of say 540, 560, if my memory supports me well, what did we do is basically we had 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and open kitchen on one side, and then 1 bedroom, 1 kitchen, 1 garage on the another side. So actually at the same time on the same property, instead of building only one house and giving it for say 500 rent, we had two different configurations on the same land, and two different houses can be given on the rent. So probably, you're going to get, 500 from one property, and again 400 or 300 from another property. So suddenly you want to get 800 in total from the same property. That makes sense. So these are the multiple configurations which are available, and yes, and it is working very well. So we have a lot of property managers who are providing this a rental guarantee with that, and that's what it is, very popular package nowadays.
So what are you suggesting from last slide is that new construction is the way forward. Is that what you're saying? But how
Uh,
would you carry it forward in current market where you have to buy existing property first and knock down or rebuild or something?
uh, yeah, I think the way I would rephrase it, Surya, based on the historical data, the tenants survey, and the futuristic um, configuration which is going to be demanded from tenant and from rental point of view, definitely my inclination would be towards new built houses, right? But then you very categorically underline one of the attributes, which is knock down and rebuild. All right. So imagine if you're buying a house in, say, one of the well-established suburbs, and which is pretty much a big land, right? For example, it's like 700 or 800 square meter, and it has got only 2 bedroom or single kitchen or single garage. definitely, what I would do is basically I would help that client to really, and if he's holding that particular land, so I would help that client to knock down, probably wouldn't cost more than 25 grand just to knock it down and then rebuild in terms of a plan of subdivisions and everything. Okay. And we have done it. We have done it on our many clients who had lands and we knocked down and we rebuilt that. Okay. Um, Okay, one of my clients was basically he knocked down and rebuilt for NDIS properties. Okay, of course, it has a lot of challenges from the NDS point of view because assessor need to really assess the property, assess the floor plan, if it is a compliant to NDS related compliance and legal point of view. So there was a lot of long journey in that space. But then to keep it short and sweet, yes, if you have old property, I'm not saying buy old property at say 900, 1.2 or 1.3 million dollars and do it. I wouldn't do that, right? Unless you have that appetite to support. But just imagine someone who is just about to buy his first home or a second home or maybe third home, I would definitely revisit the numbers. I would definitely revisit the capital growth. I would definitely revisit the overall equity. And then depending on these circumstances, what the numbers says, I might recommend or I might not recommend to go for buying a big lot and then do it subdivision. Because again, every single activity is going to cost you something. And our objective as a strategist is basically to maximize every single dollar with minimum expenses. All right.
So your key strategies around the fringe uh, periphery where new land release is happening, those kind of area, growth areas, basically, is that what you're suggesting then?
No, I wouldn't say that every new suburb who are releasing new lots is gonna be your
No, the
key
ones
growth area.
few specific, but whatever you good areas would be, they will be on that category, right? They will be on fringe or the growth suburbs, basically.
100%. And again, it revolves around what sort of um, projects government is gonna put in that particular suburb. For example, there are many suburbs. There are many suburbs in Victoria where government did really provide a lot of projects. They did really publish a lot of projects. They did really provide a lot of fundings, and just to boost that particular suburb. And then eventually, either they actually stopped funding or canceled those projects, and then people were just in limbo. All right. So it is equally extremely important to have those insights whether the project that was proposed, kicked off, or being supported by the government or not, and how long is going to go, right? For example, the Melton lines, government did support, saying that a couple of years ago that they are electrifying that particular complete Melton line, and the Melton would be a part of the metropolitan. But then last year they just literally dropped that idea, and then now they are saying, okay, we are not going to do any electrification on that. Rather, what we do is we will increase the number of V line, but the V line has its own challenges, right? So people people do really get carried away by mouth publicity, media issues, media news, friends and colleagues, and then we get carried away, and that's what the FOMO, fear of missing out. Oh, my friend has bought it, so I should buy it. Very interestingly, Surya, one of my clients' extended friend, they came back to us and, hey, Baban, we want to buy a property. And I said, okay, my fundamental question, why do you want to buy property? And then he said, I want to buy property because my friend bought it. I said, okay, I can't help it, right? So since your friend has bought it, maybe he would be the right person to guide you. And yeah, so just on a lighter note, but then buying a property just for the sake of doesn't make any sense in my mind. So probably we are not the right person to guide you in that case, right? So unless and until we are convinced why do you need property, it wouldn't click in our mind that what could be the best appropriate strategy for you to really achieve that financial freedom or maybe that property portfolio down the line 7 to 8 years. And again, number one. Number two, absolutely stay miles and miles and miles away if someone says that you'll be financially free in next 5 years or 6 years. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, right? It's an absolutely a trap. It doesn't happen. Doesn't matter how your property is growing, it doesn't happen.
So then what you're saying is that mm, some few strategic upcoming suburbs is one thing. Second is key focus on the government policy. Your investment strategy is driven by government policy or government infrastructure projects. Is that what you're saying then?
Um, I'll just taking a pause to say yes or no. Yes, provided you have the right data sitting on your screen. For example, as a part of my spectrum of services, I've got my own data scientist who keep on doing research in terms of collating the data from different states, different suburbs, different um, um, property providers, different local agents, and everyone. And then we do really validate. And then we have our own insights. Basically, I work with more than 40 builders at this point in time,
No,
and more than,
no,
yeah,
I'm not saying that we'll make the decision ourselves. We'll definitely need, as you said in earlier slide, that we'll always have to take a right advisory.
yes,
But just as a fundamentals, as a foundational framework, what you're suggesting is that these are the key elements you should found your strategy should be founded on before you go and speak to the expert, or if expert is giving some advice, these filters should apply what the advice you're receiving, that it's a mutual filter,
yes.
so that you don't go fall into the trap or go into emotional trajectory of buying something which is not right based on these fundamental things what you're just trying to describe. So that's what I'm trying to absorb. But
100%, 100%. So whether you are in Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, regional Queensland, whatever it is, right? So these are the fundamental attributes. Is basically think what's the property, capital growth, volumetric, infrastructure, data pointers, and everything, and just run those outliers, run those numbers with the person who actually knows about it, and then take a corrective actions, and then go ahead with that. So think, plan, act, and grow, right? So think, have this conversation, brainstorming, plan, get your investment structure, get your financial structure, get your property structure pretty much in place, and see actually from a bird's view point of view how it looks like, and then accordingly act. So have those, as you rightly mentioned, have those right sort of people working with you. Like it could be strategists, it could be convincers, it could be builders, it could be financial advisors, who would be any, as long as they can understand your feelings, your sentiments, and do really respect what you're really trying to aim for. And then grow. The grow is a very my favorite one of the strategic framework attributes. And basically, grow is buying an investment property doesn't mean that that's done, job is done. No, it's a continuous evolving process. So after 6 months, we do really review your complete holistic picture, your family, your demographic, your finances, your equity, and everything. And then we do really see and identify the possibility of if there is anything that you can utilize in order to have a slightly baby steps into your next property. So when it could be, how it could be, and then what it could be. And that's what the grow is basically comes into the picture.
yep,
Yep.
I'm conscious of time. If there are critical bits you can cover briefly, and then we can take few
Now
questions from the audience here.
I'm done, and pretty much is about question four. Yeah. If anybody has any questions. Yeah.
So definitely one question from Rajiv ji is what's involved in doing a strategy review with you? Are there any fees? And also,
Um, I would say that's a good question, Rajiv. Thank you so much. Um, okay, so as I mentioned, it's a complete set of professionals working under my umbrella. So we do really put our time, energy, and effort, and we do really interact and work only with serious people, right? So we do really charge as a $275, including GST, as a okay. First consultation is a free, obligation free consultation call. It could be an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is. But the moment I get up, that's where my fee would start. So my fee structure is basically 250 plus GST, which is 275, which is a refundable one, right? Refundable one in the sense the moment you sign the contract, you get your $250, $275 back into your calendar, so back into your account, sorry. Okay. And second one is basically and $1,000 as a service fee, which is a one-time payment, and you don't really have to pay anything apart from that. And then uh, there would be some sort of a membership, but then the membership basically would would help you to save thousands and thousands of dollars over the worth of your property portfolio period. For example, there are a lot of factors involved in terms of, like, mortgage brokers, admin fee, property inspector charges, your property review charges, tax consulting charges, tax depreciation charges, and everything. So probably in a nutshell, it might cost you more than $5,000, $6,000, but we charge only $2,000 from our side. That's for one property. If you're going for two properties portfolio kind of thing, then we charge around, $4,000, which would give you a benefit of more than $8,000. But then just imagine you got a property portfolio of 5 to 6 properties over the span of 5 to 6 years, right? So every property that you buy, you really have to pay all these admin charges every time. So we can help you save all those more than $40,000, $50,000 in a just span of $7,000. But yeah, I can explain that in a one-on-one call. But just to give you a brief idea, our registration fee is about $250 plus GST, which is a refundable one, and we charge only $1,000 as service fee.
And do you want to give some insight on what's the two things? The rate has dropped a little bit.
Mhm.
Where do you see the trend going on the interest rates? Second is what big impact this 5% uh, first home buyers that entry point is going to have, and is the state government, Victoria in particular, is making any additional effort to ride on that potential wave to make it easier for an investor friendly approach in Victoria?
100%. I will first of all say, these are pros and cons to it. Definitely, these are encouraging factors, not only for the first-term buyers, but also for the investors. The first-term buyers is pretty much more because they don't have to pay LMI and they can do away with 5% deposit. So that's really good news and a win-win situation for government as well as from the first-term buyers point of view. Um, uh, that's number one. Number two is, second good news is, yeah, we did really see a couple of rate of interest dropped over the last couple of cycles, and now there is, finger crossed, absolutely finger crossed, there is going to be one more and two more down the line in this year, and if they happen, trust me, the property prices, and I'm saying property prices not from the land point of view, but the build cost is going to go up, right? There might be a very marginal hike in the land value, right? But then there would be a huge cost, increase in the build cost, right? So if you're really in the process of blocking something, or really interested and seriously interested in buying either your first home or your investment property, do really get your build package locked in, and we do really lock those packages at least for 1.5 year for the next. Okay, so it doesn't matter with whom you're working, with your own builder, with your own property strategies, your own mortgage broker, whatever it is, just get your build package pretty much blocked, and that's very important. Okay, so to answer your question then, Surya, are there good news from 5% government's grant point of view? Yes, it is. What are the rate of interest predictions over the next 4 to 5 months? Yes, there are going to be at least a couple of rate drops, and which would definitely boost the borrowing capacity, not only for the first-time buyers, but also for the seasoned investors. Okay, and yeah, but then the flip side of this is basically the build cost is going to go up, because that's what the builder was really waiting for. All right. And
No, but for pre-existing properties, it will be beneficial, isn't it?
yeah, definitely. And I was just about to come to that point. So the first aspect was buying new, right? And the existing properties, again, it's a different perspective if you look at this, Surya. So imagine if you want to buy, say, existing property, which is worth of, say, 800K or 700K, for example, from an investment point of view, right? You are unnecessarily paying more than $30,000 just as a stamp duty, which you could have saved more than 15 grand if you would have gone for only land. Why? Because your stamp duty is on your entire price, whereas the house and land package is basically your stamp duty is only for your land
Yep.
portion of it. All
Yep.
right. And that's where, if you really want to save your hard-earned money, really trust me, guys, if you really want to save that hard-earned money, it is so important for you to really reassess how much I'm putting and how much I'm getting. All right. And if you are in that dilemma, definitely more than happy to brainstorm with you as a free obligation free kind of a session, and then we can identify some of the opportunities, and we are pretty much transparent. If it is possible, yes. If it is not possible, yeah, okay, wait for 3 months, maybe wait for 6 months, or maybe wait for 1 year, and then you'll be ready for your next property in this journey.
My last question was around the Victorian government is like, are they investor friendly or are they bringing new policies which are more investor friendly?
Okay, at this point in time, they really understood that the hit that they got from different states, and that's where the 5% deposit is one of the encouraging factors that Victorian government has really come up and come forward. Uh, but from the seasonal investor point of view, I see a lot of lucrative opportunities in commercial warehouses because government has boosted those small and large medium organizations basically to really have their feet pretty much firm and concrete in terms of commercial warehouses. So commercial warehouse buying is another lucrative opportunities versus buying an a house. For example, I can just give you one comparative example. If you buy 700K worth of house, right, and it's going to give you a rental income of say 500, 550, whatever it is, right? So in a month, you're going to get at least 2,100, 2,200 compound rental income. But if you buy, say, 500K worth of commercial warehouse, right, you're going to get more than 2,400 rental income per month, number one. Number two, if you're buying that commercial warehouse using an ABN number, you're going to get that GST pretty much back into your pocket. Number three, the moment you buy any commercial warehouse, that means it is going to be tenanted by the business owners and who really would have settled down his business, his logistics, his inventory. So that means he's very, very less likely to exit from your commercial warehouse. That would ensure your consistent rental income versus your house. So commercial warehouse is again a very lucrative option which we could see from a distance.
Yep. Thank you. There's a question from Raj. He's asking, what about property land tax in different states? How do you compare, or what are the strategies around? Are they land tax driven, or what are the challenges of land tax in different states?
Yeah, I actually understood the question, but I was just trying to read between the lines. Um, every state has their demographic influencing factors, and that's where the properties are being driven. For example, in WA, okay, um, the Western Australia is very well driven by the mining industry, and there's a land scarcity actually, right? And hence you would find almost no land in WA, and that's where you would find the prices are pretty much going up. And yeah, of course, you would also end up paying some sort of a tax over there. Versus in Queensland. Now, the Queensland is basically again another lucrative area in terms of buying property, but then you in the long run in Queensland property, you would end up spending a lot of money on your insurance and everything because most of the Queensland areas are flood prone areas, bush prone areas, and that's where the insurance has absolutely gone through the roof. All right. Now people are actually starting selling those properties because they cannot retain the fact that they are paying a lot of insurances. Okay. And this has actually happened for all those properties which were more than 10 years or 15 years because people did really buy those properties which are worth of 400K, which was 15, 25, 30 years old, and they bought it for 400K and everything. And they thought that that was a good bargain for them. Yes, of course, there would be few people who actually got a good bargain, but then they wouldn't say that they are paying so much insurance and this and everything, right? So eventually now they are selling and they're shifting their focus from Queensland to different areas. Okay. Number one. Number two, Queensland also has got a lot of flood prone areas and where the new properties wouldn't be actually built. So government has actually restricted those areas where it was published by the developers that they're releasing lots, but now they cannot, right? So unless you have these insights, you are putting your money into a black hole, which never would come back. So got to be extremely careful when you put when and where you put your every single hard-earned dollar.
Yep. Thank you so much. I think it's just about the 5 minutes for look at the time, but highly insightful, Babanji. And we've been speaking over months, and we exchanged lots of our notes and discussed lots of diverse topics in the investment journey you mentioned, and would like to hear more. And I've shared your LinkedIn link in the chat only for the audience who joining here to connect with you.
Yep.
And your email address was there in the slide. And those who missed, they can watch the recording again. And any closing comments or questions from anybody before we wrap up? Any final questions or comments from anybody? Yep, I'm sure it's very late for everybody, but any closing comments from you, Babanji, for
Yeah,
today?
definitely, definitely. So as you mentioned, I'm Agile coach by profession, right? So in Agile, we've got a couple of attributes like adoption and transformation. Okay, so similarly, even in property, there are two players like adopters and transformers. So adopters basically who follow tips and tricks from peers or TikTok, and they may get results. I'm not saying they won't, they may get results, but then transformers who can actually work with you, build and revisit those strategies and invest the discipline, and those are people like us. So we are the transformers, all right? So property is not about how much you earn, it's about how well you have planned it, right? So in 2025, ones who succeed won't those who actually wait for the market, but those who understand it and act smartly. That's what I would call it as. So it's not when to buy, it's about what to buy. So that's what I would say. So thank you so much once again, Surya and everyone.
Yep.
And yeah,
Thank you so much. I think you made your point very clear that let's not go very emotional, make a proper strategy, get expert opinion all the time, and do the right thing. And it's not when, it's where and how. So definitely very good thought process you built, and that's how a community will grow. And I encourage all community members once again to come forward, bring your diverse ideas, bring your vichar into this forum. This forum is for you, and we all can collectively learn and grow together. With that note, thank you so much, Babanji, for tonight, and we'll connect with you more. And thank you, everyone. Good night.
thank you, Surya. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Good
Bye.
night.